Good morning, Wrestling Inc. Welcome back to the Wrestling Inc. Daily. It is me, your managing editor of WrestlingInc.com, here to talk more of the news from the world of professional wrestling and here to digest the past 24 is right now the man returning to the stage very soon at Second City, Chicago, DJ Cameron. EJ, welcome back to the Wrestling Inc. Daily.
Good to be back, and I'm ready to digest this, man. I'm ready to eat and digest. I think, what are we going to call this, like Tuesday Tums?
Tuesday Tums, yeah. Tuesday Tums make your Tums feel better. If you had a little indigestion, don't worry. The Wrestling Inc. Daily is here. We're going to make you feel better. Your Tum-Tum's going to feel great. You know? Don't be a dum-dum. Come back for Tuesday's Tum-Tum.
Tum-Tum. There it is. There it is.
This is it, everybody. The next 45, that's all this is. It's just Tum-Tum jokes the whole time.
You're ready.
If you want to join in on these jokes today, you want to have some fun, you want to talk about the news, we are live right now as we record Monday through Friday over on the Wrestling Inc. YouTube channel and all the other platforms. Just pick the chat room you're in, jump on in, say hello, leave your thoughts. Sometimes we will pull your comments from the Mecha thread and we'll put them up here on the screen. We'll incorporate them as part of the show. And right, the Mecha thread. That's what I've been calling it.
It's like the Mecha thread.
This our thread came from the bottom of the ocean and is master of all comments. It is the Mecha thread.
It's gonna fight Godzilla with the regular thread later.
This is good. This is good. Hey, you know what? First to the Mecha thread. New listener here, Kristen Jones. Hi, friends. Kristen Jonas. Hi, friends.
Is she the sister of the Jonases? I'm sure she hates that. I'm sure she hates that.
I also thought maybe she's one of the Jonases. The lady Jonas. They don't do the Jonas sisters. You know, they don't get the attention in the family. So.
No, they should, but you know, they're like, we're too cool for the fame.
All right. Well, if you like this show as well, you can do thumbs up, likes, all that type stuff. And if you're listening in audio form, thank you very much for tuning in. You're always welcome to hit up our iTunes channel, say nice things over there. That's always nice. And for both of you, audio and video listeners, intakers of pro wrestling punditry, if you're listening in audio form, you're going to get to hear our good friend, new wrestling contributor Drew Rice's interview with Mark Marrow later on. And if you are watching us in video form, shortly after this, noon Eastern, we go live with the Daily. 1 o'clock Eastern, we will premiere Drew's latest conversation, this one with Mark Marrow, over on the YouTube channel. Also, before we get to all the news, and we'll have the mailbag later. We're going to look at Keith Lee, spoiler. But no, before we get to all this stuff, we got some positive news I want to start off on. We want to congratulate some people. First, Kofi Kingston and his wife Corey, who are expecting their third child together, and AEW star Ethan Page, he and his wife expecting their second child together. There you go.
Congratulations. Yes. New Day.
Yes. Oh, you're wearing the New Day shirt.
Oh, you know I had to. I had to do the little 8-bit.
Good. Yeah, well, the New Day will come up here later on in our run sheet as well, as we're going to talk about Monday Night Raw. You know, right now, let's get to it. News you can use, news that'll leave a bruise. We'll start off with the Raw main event. Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler, they lost a WWE Women's Tag Team Championship rematch after Reginald got involved. Now, Shayna told Reginald to go to the back. As he walked up the ramp, this pyro went off. Natalya pinned Shayna with a small package. Baszler then challenged Reginald to a match for next week's Raw. That is how the show ended. Very odd, right?
Yeah. It caught me off guard. I was like, wait, that's it? And I looked at the time and I was like, yeah, that's the main event. All right.
Yeah, okay. Very odd. Did not feel... Yeah.
Yeah, that was a transitional ending. It didn't end with bedlam or some. I mean, there was a fire and a pyro. Look, I'm over here like it wasn't enough, but it just kind of fizzled.
Hey, you're allowed to have your opinions, right? I also thought it fizzled. It felt weird. I was like, why is this the main event? Like, it kind of felt like something you would throw to commercial with Shayna Baszler challenging Reginald to a match or something. So maybe this will help put things a little bit more in context. So PWInsider.com reporting that Alexa Bliss was backstage at Raw last night, not used on camera. Now, it's rumored, heavily implied, whatever you want to say, that Bliss and her little psycho doll Lily are behind the recent explosions that have went off during matches in the women's tag team title picture recently. Now, Bliss revealed on Instagram that she had an emergency earlier in the day with Larry, her pet pig, but she was backstage for the show. And then this morning she took to Instagram and let everybody know that her pig, Larry Steve, had passed away. It's a very sad story. We all grew up with Larry Steve. You know, we all, well, Larry Steve grew up with us. He wasn't that old, you know.
Yeah, I don't recall when I was 2, but yeah, no, that's always unfortunate, losing a pet and sadness. With that being said, that just made me think back to the main event of Raw. Let's say Alexa Bliss is there and she's not being used. Here we go, couch booking. But what if it was just like the pyro goes off, and then you just see the doll sitting on the stage and you hear the laugh.
Sure.
That would have made me feel better and say, oh, cool. But it just was like, all right.
Yeah. And I don't know how many casual viewers are out there that are just kind of checking out Raw, you know, to see what's going on each week at this point. But if you're watching it, you don't really know what's been going on. That seemed kind of completely out of I don't know that the context was necessarily there. I think you're right. I think the doll would have helped with that storytelling or something along those lines.
Something, even the audio of the laugh, something.
Yeah, well, Bit Milligan, I think, agrees with us. That was a weird ending. Yes, that was a weird ending, Bit Milligan. I like that name. It's a good name.
I love that name.
Anthony Y, yeah, Raw kind of meh. Well, you know what? We also saw on Raw, Kofi Kingston taking on Drew McIntyre. The winner is going to go on to challenge Lashley for the WWE title at Hell in a Cell. The match after 40, you get promos, you get match, you get good match, right?
Mm-hmm.
You get match. They just, Lashley and MVP just hit the ring, man. They just attack him. Costed the match, right?
Yeah. I get it, but also I feel like we've seen that happen so many times. I think that's the ending on so many matches these days, that it loses its steam and power. It's not meaningful anymore. Now it's like, okay, cool. You can see it coming.
Yeah. I was a little disappointed with how sloppy they did that. It just felt like do it to do it. Really wasn't that creative of a finish. Yeah.
Kofi versus Drew McIntyre. I don't recall the last time we've seen that, if we have. And
no, I was agreeing with you. I'm like, no, you can finish your thought. Sorry.
I was like, oh no, he's lagging.
I'm here. I'm not having a stroke, I promise. I'm just reading.
Genius. Yeah, man. It was one of those matches I was like, oh, I don't recall the last time I've seen these two styles go against each other, especially as faces, and they're fighting each other. I was like, this is a good match. Kofi looked great out there. He was like, okay, cool. We got main event Kofi. He's back. It's cooking. So maybe we're supposed to be upset that we were robbed of this ending. Sure. But I'm assuming it's going to be a triple threat. So I would assume.
You would think, but Adam Pearce, he came out. He announced Kofi and Drew rematch next week, Monday night. Winner's going to be named number 1 contender for the title at Hell in a Cell. Per the stipulation, Lashley will be suspended for 90 days without pay if he or MVP interferes in this match. So if the match ended in some kind of double countout, double DQ, sure, maybe still room for a triple threat, but I think they're going to let Kofi pick the win up here next week cleanly over Drew. I think they just, for whatever reason, wanted to stretch it out. I don't know why you would go back to Drew and Bobby and pin Kofi. You know, it wouldn't make sense. Not to me, no.
The two things that I think might happen, and I haven't read anything. This is me assuming. I think we're going to get either T-Bar and Mace to pull up. To pull up on him and cause a kerfuffle.
Okay.
Or we get Big Bad Braun pull up and he's like, I'm not finished with you yet. And he punches McIntyre in the head or something, or costs McIntyre the win. So we get McIntyre, Braun, maybe. But I think I'd rather a triple in a cell.
The conductor of destruction, Braun Strowman.
He's a little conductor.
One of my low-key favorite parts of Raw last night was all the little 30-second promos that all the wrestlers had to cut promoting Return to Touring, and how they had to drop like 80s style lines like that, where Braun Strowman's like, I'm the conductor of destruction and I'm coming to Houston. And I was like, what? I don't know why I like these so much, but they're all so dumb.
It does have that old school feel. It's like, all right, cool. You can update these. I don't know who's
we actually have a good comment here from the comment section. Ryan W. chatting in. Jinder is going to cost Drew the match. And for those that can't see, EJ making the my head is exploding reaction right now with his fingertips.
I'm mad I didn't think of that. My guy Jinder, he's back.
Yeah.
We didn't see him this week.
It's good.
And they're trying to hinder him. I didn't see him this week, so I think he was hindered. And you can't hinder the Jinder.
No.
Yes, I would love to see that.
Him and his two big badass buddies there, right, coming in, costed Drew this match, reasserting Jinder's dominance.
They have a history.
Totally. Lots of history there. And then Kofi can go on. The thing about the Kofi push right now is he has not really cleanly won a match. Like, everything has had some kind of shenanigans around it, some kind of interference. This case, it was a double DQ. He hasn't really cleanly picked up a win. If he were to like cleanly pick up like a victory, it would really surprise people, I think. So I don't know if I'm reading something in the tea leaves there that's not there, but it's just been it's a non-traditional push for Kofi. He's not winning cleanly. He's always something involved here with Kofi, you know?
Some sort of hijinks. So maybe they're doing this, and then he'll have the big clean one when he finally he's gonna have to use speed and outsmart somebody.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he beats Lashley. I think you hold off on the Lashley and Reigns to decide take it off or don't take them off. But SummerSlam seems like the place you want to pay off what you've built up with these guys because they've been so dominant. Kofi kind of maybe like Cesaro was to Roman Reigns over on SmackDown and still kind of is, right?
Yeah.
Likely not going to take the title, but just kind of there and everybody's very much behind them, kind of deal. But you're right. If Kofi picked up a clean victory out of nowhere on Bobby Lashley, it would certainly catch everybody off guard.
I think something in my gut feels like Brock is coming. And the match can go either way. You can either have Kofi and Brock again, because Kofi probably has beef and would like to, fix that loss. But
sure.
Man, Lashley versus Lesnar, I'm still like, I think the world is like, are we gonna get it? Please, maybe.
I would hope. It'd be a great match.
And don't even book the finish. Send them out there and go. You decide.
As much as I would love to watch those two just throw down to determine the actual WWE champion, I don't know how that plays on an entertainment level. I think it's one of those things you want, and then you're watching it, and you're like, oh, this is... Ooh. I am very worried about the pro wrestling referees don't know how to call it. They don't know what's good or bad, They're
like, please stop.
Frankie Tubbs, one more note here before we roll on with Raw. Is this a Kofi push, or are they trying to cheap pop the ratings? Are they trying to cheap pop the ratings? I guess he's saying, are they trying to just give the people what they want, a little bit of candy, Kofi Kingston push, but ultimately you're not going to get the steak dinner. You're just going to get a little candy here.
What do you want, steak dinner or candy? I think it was a thing we talked about last week. I don't really think there's too many faces, too many good guys to go against Lashley that's not McIntyre. So I feel like a decision was made. They're like, all right, who is the closest that we have that's not Orton?
Orton. Yeah.
So I think it's a push for Kofi, but a push so there's a contender. A la, back in the day, they built somebody up to go against John Cena just for John Cena to win. I think it's just the opposite little reflection of that the other way.
Well, speaking of Randy Orton, Riddle defeated Xavier Woods in a singles match after hitting the RKO. Following his victory, Riddle did the Randy Orton pose, looked at the camera, dedicated his win to Randy Orton. He then disclosed a text he got from Orton after he hit the RKO during Raw talk. After Raw, he said, Randy was like, I saw that, bro. And then Randy Orton tweeted the following last night after Raw, I'd say nice form, but also don't steal my shit. Hashtag WWE Raw. Oh, this odd couple. What are they?
I
How
love
are they
it.
ever going to get along? How are they ever going to get along?
You know, it's great because you know Orton's gonna do something dastardly at some point. So it's just this fun, like watching his heart kind of grow a couple of sizes, maybe warm up. But I think ultimately he's gonna kick that guy in the head.
Cedric Alexander beat Shelton Benjamin in what I thought was the best part of Raw. I usually don't like the promos that are like, you're old, you're broken, you want to try to build up your opponent so that when you beat them, it means more. But I mean, for my money, there was no better Raw emotion on Raw last night than the actual tension that existed between these two. He cut this promo, like I said, and then in the end, he wins by thumbing Shelton in the eye and picking up the dirty victory. I just really liked this. I thought it was great. What are your thoughts?
Fire match. I was gonna ask you. I'm glad you said you liked the promo because he was doing that thing he does with his voice that we were talking about. It's just like it's so whiny, but we're not supposed to like him.
He was more aggressive this week than usual. You know, I feel like he's fighting through that. He's trying to just yell his way through it. You know,
He's like a guidance counselor. He's fighting through it. Just let him yell through it. He'll come back. But no, the match was great. I love when he had the wrist control and kept kicking him in the face and the chest. Like, what are you gonna do?
yeah.
And Shelton just hulks up and smashes him with a clothesline. Man, yeah, it was great. They worked well together. Of course, they were tag team champions, so I'm glad that they're getting time to work this out. Even to where I was like, are they going to come back to the Hurt Business? Are they going to fight this out and be like, all right, we're cool now?
Yeah. I was happy. I wanted to see more from these two guys afterwards, both like against each other and like, you know, Shelton Benjamin trying to prove himself, you know, in some competition with Cedric off, always trying to get back in with Lashley a little bit, you know, like maybe kind of like a Jimmy Uso type character. Coming out of this, I was just so much happier for these two. I thought the match was a banger. I thought the finish was right. I had no issue. This was my favorite part of Raw was these two.
Agreed.
And the promo. Lastly here, before we get off Raw, PW Insider saying a good portion of the script for the first hour of this week's Raw was not set in stone until about 35 to 45 minutes before Raw hit the air. There was said to be a lot of, quote, ripping up of the Raw script throughout the day on Monday, which led to a few rematches on the show. Just a few. Charlotte Asuka, Sheamus Umberto, Cedric Shelton. Those were all rematches. Well, also the main event, that was Natalya and Tamina retaining over Nia Sheamus. So that was enough. So, you know, 80% rematches, I feel like, on last
few.
couple. Just a couple rematches. Yeah, you know, the holding pattern is officially on for me, right? July 16th, return to form, you know, batten down the hatches. They're going to have stuff ready. This felt like a holding pattern show. I don't know what else to say.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. They changed the date on their homework, maybe changed a couple of numbers in the equations and stuck it back in. And we're like, yeah, okay, this it's different.
Yeah. Well,
maybe that's why they made that the tag match the main event to be like, look.
I you know, I don't really know this for certain or not, but just based off of what we've been reading and talk about here, I would think maybe they had something with Alexa planned for the end. But like, let's hypothetically say she got the news halfway into Raw, right? And it's just like, you know, incapable, and you got to call an audible. You don't. Yeah. You know, things happen. You're just going to get the fire. I don't know. I think on the fly, I would have probably done something like you did, like put the doll out there or something, but it's tough to say, man. Tough to say. It was just a weird situation for everybody.
Yeah, we're on the outside too. We have the clarity of being on the outside and not in it.
And it's interesting to me too, because I know Bray Wyatt, you know, teasing, "Do you miss me yet?" Right. It is interesting to me how Alexa Bliss they're still trying to position her as like an upper act on Raw, but she doesn't really wrestle. Like, I don't really know what her purpose is anymore in WWE. I don't really know what she's building to anymore.
Which is a weird thing, because I've noticed that for the longest with it. They'll put her in these positions where she's not really wrestling, and then they're like, all right, main event. And she's, what is she, the GM for like 2 seconds?
She
drinking coffee. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, not knocking her. I think she's great, but also, hey, y'all, what are you doing?
Yeah. Very, very unfortunate. Well, a couple thoughts here from the comment section. Ryan W. Raw Rewind. Anthony Y. Riddle versus Woods. Best thing for sure from Raw. It's also very good. Samantha QT. Just in case you missed it last week, here you go again. Garofalo, forget WrestleMania Backlash. That was Raw Backlash. And Anthony Y. reiterating, just stop, or just a few rematches. Stop with the rematches. So a lot of people there. Yeah, they're echoing that sentiment. We are getting more of the same. Please give us something a little bit different. Well, kind of staying in the realm of the main roster here, we'll look over at SmackDown here real quickly. WWE Hall of Famer Edge is scheduled to make his WWE return this summer. A new WWE website advertisement for the July 16th SmackDown on Fox from Toyota Center in Houston lists Edge, Sasha Banks, Roman Reigns, Bianca Belair, Rey Mysterio, Dominic, and Big E. Edge has not been seen since appearing at WrestleMania 37 in a triple threat, which saw Reigns retain over he and Daniel Bryan. Banks hasn't wrestled since losing SmackDown title to Belair on at WrestleMania 37. No word on if they're going to be brought back to TV before July 16th. But again, we are getting ready. We are preparing. We are getting ready. Edge is coming back. And man, Edge and Roman Reigns are so much time apart from WrestleMania. I'm kind of excited. Like with the tear that Roman's been on, like Edge coming back. We didn't really get to see him one-on-one because Daniel Bryan got involved, you know.
He got involved. And maybe that was their plan because Edge is old school in the sense of he needs a crowd. And I think the response of the crowd when he came back to Royal Rumble was so big. And the promos he's been cutting, I would love to see Edge in front of a live audience in this iteration against this iteration of Roman Reigns. I think that's going to tear the roof off.
And I want to throw this out there too. And somebody brought up the John Cena China stuff, and we'll get to John Cena apologizing to China in just a bit. But you know, there's a lot of, you know, speculation. John could also be at this SmackDown, right? Because of his schedule, you know, freeing up, he'll be back in the States. Edge also at the show. How very interesting that both these men with so much history might be under the same roof here. And on top of that, this is the Friday before Money in the Bank, the pay-per-view that kind of made Edge synonymous with that briefcase. And did he cash in on Cena or no? Who did he cash? He did cash in on Cena, right?
After Elimination Chamber, he cashed it in at like New Year's Revolution or something ridiculous.
There's just something in the constellations there, right? With all of these pieces, you know, there's just a lot of stuff going on there, EJ. And you know, if we get a little something between Edge and Cena, you know, maybe they both enter Money in the Bank. How crazy would that be? You know,
I really want to see Hollywood / corporate Cena. I'm dying for heel Cena to come back in a suit and just be a monster.
Yeah, well, and he will have had to have escaped the Firefly Funhouse to be on SmackDown because the last we saw him, I believe he was still trapped in some kind of purgatory nightmare.
Yeah, so he has to come back different. He's broken now.
Yeah,
he's been doing car commercials, so now he's a different person.
So anyway, Edge will be back. Very exciting. And some news about SummerSlam as well. The Observer saying SummerSlam is expected to be announced soon for the Allegiant Stadium in Vegas. An announcement expected to be made shortly, but it was also speculated that WWE may reevaluate SummerSlam venue plans now that the big Manny Pacquiao Errol Spence Jr. PBC Fox boxing match has been announced for the night before SummerSlam on Saturday, August 21st. So WWE would no longer be the biggest show in town that weekend. That may, make it a struggle for them to fill a stadium with 60,000 fans. Vegas, traditionally a tough market anyway for pro wrestling. It will already be tough to sell out that crowd for SummerSlam. Allegiant has a capacity of 65,000. WWE could always run the T-Mobile Arena in Vegas. That has a capacity of 15,000. The first SmackDown on Fox episodes took place there, and they only drew 7,000 people. So they could also run the MGM Grand and the Mandalay Bay Event Center, but those venues could be too small for a special like SummerSlam. So the idea behind SummerSlam 2021 was to hold it in a tourist city where they could expect fans to fly in and help the stadium. So anyway, WWE, they've also discussed the Allegiant Stadium potentially being a WrestleMania. So I don't know how in flux the negotiations are here, but if you're worried about drawing for your big return show because of this other thing, you know, I think the Garden is a slam dunk. New York is a tourist city. They would love the tourism right now coming back to that city. And it's the Garden. I was always very confused by we're going to Vegas for SummerSlam. It didn't feel right to me.
Yeah, it's like, okay, Vegas, cool, I guess. What are you doing, outside or something? Caesar's Palace outside.
Hey,
nah.
I don't. Can we go back to Caesar's Palace or the parking lot across the street from Caesar's Palace? I think is where it actually was.
Parking lot. He says, yes. You're a fool.
Just saying.
Yeah, Madison is the spot. Also, well, maybe not Barclays, but Barclays. They've been doing it in Barclays a bunch the past few years. They can kind of make that the SummerSlam home. But Madison Square Garden has always been WWE's special home. If you're doing a "we're coming back, we're back," it's a smaller arena, right?
Yeah.
So I mean that, yeah. But they kind of want the ballyhoo. But I think if you're doing a "hey, we're back," Madison Square Garden, where we're supposed to be, our home, Vince comes out and says the whole thing, him and Stephanie, and the tear rolls out, and he's like, I always knew I would come back. And then Stephanie stuns him and pins. Oh, I'm sorry.
Whoa. No, let's do it. Let's get right. You want to jumpstart the business? Put the McMahons in the main event. That's a tried and true. That's tried and true.
Shane does a backflip. Where is Shane? Don't worry about Shane. Yeah. But no, they should do the Garden or somewhere in New York. I think New York works.
I should throw to Anthony here. Maybe Edge comes back on the SmackDown when the crowds are back before Money in the Bank. Yeah, absolutely. And what was the one that I thought here? Well, this one here from Frankie Tubbs. If Cena comes back with the Hollywood Rock gimmick, just print the money now. So they agreed with you, 100%.
Frankie Tubbs gets it.
And Rob quoted what I just said. I feel like we're all trapped in some sort of purgatory nightmare. That's really dark, man. It's dark. I just said it as a joke. You know?
You're like, wait, what week is this? Have I done this already?
We are supposed to be more positive here, Rob. So we're trapped in I'm guessing he's talking about on Raw, right? Outside of that, life is beautiful.
Oh, life is beautiful. Yeah.
Life is beautiful. PWInsider.com. Real quick note here. Jason Jordan, John Cone, reportedly receiving rave reviews for their recent work in the WWE Talent Relations Department after being tasked with additional responsibilities. Cone has been receiving high marks from WWE wrestlers and is well-liked in the new role so far. It was also noted that Jordan is said to be excellent with his new responsibilities. It was noted that there have also been some additions to the staff of the Talent Relations Department with new non-wrestling personnel. Great news. Very happy to hear Jason Jordan and John Cone, for that matter, succeeding in their new roles.
Yeah, huzzah, congrats, proud of him, especially Jason Jordan. I'm always like, man, how's that guy doing? So it's good to hear a report about him doing well and having a good job and doing good at it.
Yes. All right. Well, let's get to the story here that people have been twittering about and talking about in our comments section here. As someone in the entertainment business, I'm sure you have no opinions about this story. WWE legend. He's a legend now, is what we referred to him on the website as. Legend John Cena has issued an apology to China for calling Taiwan a country in a recent interview. During his interview with TVBS, Cena referred to Taiwan as, quote, the first country to watch Fast and the Furious 9, a film directed by Taiwanese-American Justin Lin. The viral video received nearly 3 million views on Weibo, which is a platform in China, I believe, leading to the Chinese media demanding an apology from Cena. Cena posted a video on the Sina Weibo platform clarifying his comments, though not directly mentioning Taiwan or its relationship with China. He said, "Hi, China. I'm John Cena." He said, "Good. I'm in the middle of the Fast and Furious 9 promotions. I'm doing a lot of the interviews. I made a mistake in one of my interviews." Now, I want to clarify. He's saying all of this in Mandarin, right? John Cena has known the market in China and how much money there is to make there, and was so motivated by that, has been learning Mandarin. He's like somewhat fluent in Mandarin now. Oh my God. So anyway, he says, everyone was asking me if I could use Chinese. The staff of the movie gave me a lot of information So there was a lot of interviews and information. I made one mistake. I have to say something very, very important now. I love and respect China and Chinese people. I'm very, very sorry about my mistake. I apologize. I'm very sorry. You must understand that I really love, really respect China and the Chinese people. My apologies. See you. So despite this apology, some fans on Weibo still unhappy. Please say in Chinese that Taiwan is part of China. Otherwise, we won't accept it, wrote one user. Then you should say Taiwan is China's, wrote another user. Fast and Furious 9 was released in Hong Kong on May 19th, and it'll hit the theaters in the United States later this month. Cena is expected to return to the U.S. the first week of July after wrapping the production for Peacemaker, the HBO Max series in Vancouver. It's rumored he's coming back to TV. And I did a little research. I got a little Wikipedia snippet here about the complicated political situation in Taiwan. So I guess I'll read this. The political situation that is accepted by many, this is just a snippet. I thought this was the best of the, it's very long, is again, it's very complicated. The political situation is accepted by many of the current groups is the perspective of the status quo to unofficially treat Taiwan as a state and at minimum to officially declare no support of the government of this state, making a formal declaration of independence. What a formal declaration of independence would consist of is not clear and can be confusing given the fact that the People's Republic of China has never controlled Taiwan and the Republic of China still exists, albeit on a decreased scale. From what I gleaned this morning, I believe there are two governments in China. And anyway, it's very, very complicated. And dude, you just, if you're in the entertainment business, you're not allowed to say you can't do anything about China. Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty much. I mean, there's a lot of places that counts for and companies. And so I feel for him because the guy's doing promos in Mandarin and probably just misspoke and slipped up. And they're still like, no. Tell us. Well, somebody said, please. They're like, well, please say in Chinese that is a part of China. Yeah. I'm hoping that this is it on that. I hope they accept his apology and can move on nicely. And I hope they are happy with his response.
As a red-blooded American, I have to just say it's like it's just a little messed up, right? As much as Donald Trump wanted to, he could not actually cancel SNL and make, Alec Baldwin apologize to him. That's just not how it works, So,
and his apology that it seems like it was written for him is a lot of sorries. It's like, I am very sorry. And I really love it here. And I love
because the thing that sucks these situations with these actors that or producers or whatever who come out and say something that accidentally or intentionally insults the Chinese government or Chinese, people at large is how much money is weighing in all these different departments, right? Like, it's not just you and your career. It's like the whole business loses a bunch of money and it just becomes it's a nightmare, So anyway.
Yeah, that's different money that I don't think we'll have to worry about.
Rob Humphreys will end on a positive note. Taiwan is one of my favorite countries on the planet. Thank you, Rob.
Rob Humphrey.
We love Taiwan. All right. Sunday night's main event podcast. Scorpio Sky comments on upcoming Double or Nothing tag match against 62-year-old Sting and Darby Allin. He wrote, everyone in my generation grew up watching Sting. I had a buddy of mine text me. He actually works for the other company, WWE. And he's like, bro, Sting was my favorite wrestler growing up. Don't hurt him. So, twofold. I think the bro gives away who it is, right? Like,
bro, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Just saying, maybe gave away who it is. Look, if Sting goes in there and he gets hurt, there's going to be a lot of people pointing fingers. I don't know that that's going to happen. I'm not saying that's going to happen. But, Sting gets hurt, there's going to be a lot of people pointing fingers at each other.
Well, that's what happened last time. He got hurt and everybody was like, Rollins?
We've been through this, Yeah.
So I'm sure they'll be safe, I hope.
All right. lastly here, very unfortunate story before we get to Mark Marrow and talk a little bit about Keith Lee in the mailbag. Former WCW star Marcus Buff Bagwell was arrested on numerous charges this past weekend in Cobb County, Georgia. Cobb County jail records show that Bagwell was arrested by the Cobb County Police Department at around 1:25 p.m. on Saturday afternoon at the intersection of Bells Ferry Road and Santa Fe Trail. This is near where Bagwell lives in Woodstock, Georgia. He was booked into jail around 2:05 and then bonded out at around 9:15. Bagwell was booked on the following charges this past Saturday: driving under the influence of drugs, misdemeanor; open container violation, misdemeanor; hit and run, duty of driver to stop at the return of a scene of an accident, 4 charges, all misdemeanors; speeding, misdemeanor; failure to yield when entering intersection, misdemeanor; giving false name or address or birth date to law enforcement officer, also misdemeanor; following too closely, 3 charges, doesn't clarify it's a misdemeanor; reckless driving, misdemeanor; driving within a gore or median or emergency lane, also misdemeanor; duty upon striking a fixed object, misdemeanor; driving on the wrong side of the road, driving on the wrong side of the roadway, misdemeanor; license to be carried and exhibited on demand, also a misdemeanor. I don't want to laugh, but that is an insane amount of charges. I have read so many wrestler police reports, unfortunately, in my job. I don't know that I've ever, and it kind of like, you read that, it kind of tells the story, I think, of what happened there. Right?
Yeah, it's reading it is a very thorough story of like, oh, he had drugs in an open container, then he hit a thing and kept going, and then he hit the median, and then he kept going, and then he was speeding and he kept going. Random tidbit: Cobb County is my hometown.
There you go.
Also the home of Big Boss Man. But yeah, no, I'm from Cobb County, Georgia. So I was like, yo, I know those streets. My parents live around the corner.
Wow.
Yeah, so get off the road, Buff Bagwell.
So Buff received a $4,000 bond for 5 of the charges, a $10,000 bond for the rest. After other fees, he was released to a company named A Second Chance Bail Bonds by paying bonds of $4,620 and $11,220. Bagwell has no attorney on file as of this reporting. You may remember how Bagwell suffered multiple injuries during a serious car accident he was in while driving in Cobb County last August. He suffered broken ribs, a broken right hip, a broken left socket bone, a broken nose, a torn right groin muscle in August 2020. No word yet on if Bagwell is injured in this week's incident, but as noted in the report from last August, Cobb County authorities announced that Bagwell was impaired by prescription medication during the accident. This screams of a cry for help, right? So I hope that somebody reads this. I don't know if it's a Dallas page or whoever, but they can break through to this guy and hopefully turn this around. Because who didn't love Buff Bagwell, man? He was hilarious, right?
Buff had stuff, and I loved his mom. And also, Diamond Dallas' studio is in Cobb County, Georgia.
There you go.
His yoga studio is down the street from my parents' house. So I hope somebody reaches out to him, and I hope he finds the help that he needs, because it looks like he hasn't hurt anyone but himself. But I would hate for it to get to that place.
Yeah. All right. Well, that brings us to the end of the show here today. Thank you, EJ, for talking all the news at the top of the show with me. Thank you to Drew Rice for going out and getting that great interview with Mark Marrow. And we'll dive into the mailbag here at WInc Daily, WINC Daily over on Twitter. Today's poll question comes from the following story that generated a ton of news. Now, Keith Lee keeps putting these messages out, saying nothing but speaking volumes, it would seem. They all drive a ton of traffic. I don't want to cover them every day like they're news. So today, we made it a poll. So Keith Lee, he took to Twitter and he said, to the people offering uplifting words, know that I appreciate you greatly, and worry not, I am what I am, not, and worry not when I say hashtag I am unlimited. I am unlimitless. I mean it. I will try to find a way to explain everything in the most efficient way possible. Give me just a little more time. He also responded to a fan who said he can't do moonsaults from the third rope. The fan was responding to a big man moonsaults video from the official Twitter account. Lee wrote back to the fan, a quick Google or YouTube search would have kept you from looking like an imbecile. And you're right. You're not the wrestler. Stay in your lane. So a little fiery there from Keith Lee. Not like it.
Yeah, people keep probably messing with him and saying stupidness to him. Leave him alone.
Man, fiery Keith Lee, just whatever. Grumpily, I guess. Is that bad? Can I not make Keith Lee jokes right now? Can I not call him grumbly? Am I gonna get heat for that?
I don't think so. Unless, I mean, when he comes out and says what it is, then maybe you might be like, probably.
You're gonna feel bad, right?
Feel a little bad now. I shouldn't have said
that. Well, today's poll question at WInc Daily, WINC Daily. Follow that account to find the daily poll and vote. What do you want to see Keith Lee do next? Do you over 300 votes here we got for this poll? Do you want to see him return to the main roster, return to NXT, or go somewhere else? 37.6% return to the main roster, 32% want to see him in NXT, and 27.8% want to see him somewhere else. So almost a dead heat here with all three of these options. Which one do you prefer?
I voted for come back to the main scene, the main event. I think there was a lot of Keith Lee that we didn't get to see all of. We were all excited about him and what he was about to do, and we never got that chance. And live, the people are coming back. I think Keith Lee in front of a crowd is going to be major.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, maybe it is. They're just holding back and waiting for him to be a big star on a big platform. I would, best case scenario, I hope for that. I kind of want to see him back down at NXT. I want to see him and Dijakovic back in NXT because there's such good fits there, and I don't really know that we saw them hit their full potential in that kind of world over in NXT. So
they took him too quick, and then they took Keith Lee so fast and then changed them so fast that we couldn't even. We were like, "Yo, what are you doing? Why'd you put a shirt on him and a skirt?"
Well, a couple write-ins here. The Bus Cat, Lee is amazing, is over with the fans. However, if Vince doesn't get him, he will never get the push he deserves. He can go to any other promotion and be a top star. Yeah, a lot of people seem to think, based off of kind of reports, that Vince has an issue with Keith. Doesn't move like a big man should move. Maybe he's too big for a big man. I don't know,
But didn't we hear the reports that Vince really liked him?
There's also, we've heard both. Yeah.
Yeah, well, he had Orton lose to him and was like, take care of him. Make that guy look good. This is my guy. So unless he changed his mind, it was like, actually, I don't like that you do this. I need you to be slower. And I don't know. But that's the thing. I'm ready for the tweet when he's finally able to say all that he needs and wants to say.
It feels like it could be a personal issue.
It feels super personal.
Yeah, it feels like a very complicated, maybe a loss or other kind of deal. I don't know, but my instincts, I think, are like yours. This feels like something that's just a very personal thing, and I'll try not to let my speculation run too rampant.
Yeah, and then I think him and Mia Yim both have said that. So I'm like, okay, cool, personal. Yeah, it's your business. That's your thing. So
yeah, I don't think it's a coincidence either that those two have been off TV kind of together recently. So we'll find out. I guess we'll find out in time. At Aztec AY, go back to Raw, get pushed to the moon, kind of similar to you. At Clint Will Foster, also get healthy. Yeah, if that's the thing. At Chris's Catch Can, as long as he is healthy, I don't mind. Keith is great. Yeah, Name Dropper 5000, another one saying be healthy. At Real CA Birthney, he won his last 4 matches. He was in a title match before the injury, so I feel like WWE has big plans for him once he's cleared. I would hope so. And yeah, another write in here, Jesse Wheels, just be healthy and go to AEW, this person wrote. Wow.
I don't think he should go to AEW, but
Yeah. Also, we have from Tad Predicts here, Mia Yim has also not made her debut on Friday Night SmackDown when she was rumored to. Hope they will. Yeah, that's the other thing that I wanted to bring up here, and then we'll kind of close on that. Yeah, Mia Yim was rumored to already kind of be on SmackDown. We have not seen that manifest yet. So it sounds like we're getting closer to finding out what was going on here, but my anticipation is I think it's going to be something that was very personal,
Yeah. I hope it's a personal thing in the sense of, oh man, that's unfortunate, and not like personal, like, oh no, oh goodness. Like I hope just like I don't know, maybe a private surgery or whatever they do. I don't know. I hope they are okay.
All right, everybody. Well, I'll be back tomorrow. I'll be joined by another comedian friend of mine, Brian Wool, be joining us from Hollywood Kid. I know he's in Hollywood. Man,
Hollywood, that's how you have to say it.
Hollywood Kid, Brian Wool. I'm going to be back here tomorrow with Brian. my conversation I'm going to have tomorrow. Very excited to bring this one. My good friend Rich Bikini, you may have known him as Rich Brennan, former lead commentator for SmackDown. We do commentary for Warrior Wrestling here in Chicago. He was, don't really know what he is with MLW commentary wise right now. But we wanted to talk about Warrior Wrestling, and Rich and I have known each other for years now. We kind of talked about everything, and I wanted to push myself to kind of dig into his time at WWE and developmental and that leap to the main roster. And so I kind of dropped my friend hat, and for about 20 minutes, I'm like, no, Rich, you are my subject right now. And we're going to find out what your experience was like. So it's good. It's really good. I'm very excited. I think this is a great interview. We'll premiere it at 1 Eastern tomorrow on YouTube, and we'll premiere it on the podcast version tomorrow as well. And then of course support Wrestling Inc. Daily or the WrestlingInc.com, all social media platforms, and the Wrestling Inc. podcast post show after all the major events. EJ, what do you want to plug, promote, put over here to wrap up the show today?
Oh my goodness, y'all keep being good people, doing what you're supposed to do. Be nice to somebody. Just do something nice.
Be nice
for yourself. People forget to be nice to themselves. Be nice to yourself. Do something nice for yourself. I know people are getting back to work, but treat yourself at some point and go get a bagel.
Go get a bagel, everybody. Treat yourself. Have a bagel, which that's a good way to. It's a bagel with other stuff. You know, a bagel can be. Whatever.
I thought it was like a witch that makes bagels. Like you bite the bagel and you're cursed.
I feel like you and I. That's going to be like, we're going to be old men. We're going to be running the Bagel Witch, right? In like Amish country, Pennsylvania.
Dude. Yeah, I'm down for that.
We could go to Salem. We could go to Salem and open the Bagel Witch, right? The bagel.
And then Halloween people come in. We have like black bagels. They're like made out of rye. Oh, there we go.
And we do a Bagel Witch trials. Right, where we put the black bagel next to like we got like some kind of like Fruity Pebbles bagel, and you could try them and then vote. You know, what is the superior bagel? The other bagel we throw in the river to see if it floats.
If it floats, the ducks just go nuts.
Oh, we laugh, we kid. The Bagel Witch.
I'm glad we could laugh about that. That used to be a serious thing.
Time, man. Time.
Times are changing.
Comedy, right? That's how you cope. All right. Hey, everybody. I'm Nick _Hausman over on Twitter. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'll talk to you tomorrow. And remember, if you winked, you didn't miss it.